It's been a big week for One Piece this week. We got the Gear 5 trailer, or teaser, a little bit of teaser for the episode August 6th. Um, we have the live action. We got a full trailer instead of just a teaser for the live action Netflix adaptation, which that's its own topic in of itself. And we got a pretty big chapter, 1088, which tackles some issues going forward for the One Piece manga, regarding some characters. So I'm gonna break it down, and we're gonna do a little talking about this crazy chapter. Honestly, I think a lot of people saw what happens in this chapter coming, but it's a crazy chapter nonetheless. We can get into it. First off, the color spread at the beginning of the chapter this week, chapter 1088. So if you're not caught up or haven't read if you're not caught up and you haven't read chapter 1088, I would go ahead and go ahead and do that, because this is going to be heavy spoilers for that. Yeah. So chapter 1088, the color spread, we got homage to the Netflix adaptation. I think they're wearing their costumes that they're wearing in the trailer. I only say that because of Zoro's shirt, but that's not. We can move forward past that. So the start of this chapter, the first page alone, is a flashback to a newly enlisted Koby in the Marines, working with Garp. Garp's giving his first lesson to the future Sword members, namely Koby and Helmeppo. And it's just such a cool scene. I love this. We get some really cool Will of D inspired type of talk from Garp, talking about leaving a child behind, or not leaving a child behind, and leaving a old man behind if you can only take one person on your ship to save them. But I mean, he talks about how the future is the youth. I think he says the future of the young is infinite. I mean, that's just, yeah, it gives Mike Guy vibes. You know what I mean? And then we cut to another flashback, because I think where we are mainly in this chapter is Pirate Island, and we get another flashback of Amazon Lily, which is Koby giving up himself to save the 800 other Marines there, and so he's giving himself up. I think Blackbeard laughs and talks about how he really thinks he's worth that many people, but he ends up taking him as captive, as Blackbeard ends up taking the deal. But yet then we get right back into the action that we left off last time, which was the Kuzan and Garp fight, which so far has been crazy. I mean, talk about hyped up fights. Talk about, we finally get to see a big Aokiji fight. You know, it's not just talked about off screen. We finally get to see a big Garp fight. Yeah, it's been great. But so here we see, Pizarro, who is the Isle fruit. He's controlling Pirate Island. We see him going to attempt to bring down Garp's ship and all the sword and marine members on there, which is, obviously they got to save them. But, I mean, Garp is just in bad shape in this entire chapter. And he turns to, I mean, we could talk about the title of the chapter being the final lesson, right? That's what it's called. Final lesson. And he galvanizes Helmeppo and Koby to, go after this hand that is coming down on the ship to save these guys. And he gives each of them they each get, it's Helmeppo, Koby, and then Prince Gruss. Not sure how you pronounce it, but I think it's Gruss. Each of them get a job. Koby's job is to stop the hand, which is a pretty big job. And then you got Helmeppo, don't let anyone stop the other guys, and Prince Gruss is given the job to protect the ship from the debris that will inevitably fall on them once Koby manages to destroy the hand. I mean, he's giving this great advice, and you can really tell it's the end of an era when it comes to Garp's teachings. He's really at the end of these teachings, because instead of telling them exactly what to do, he just gives them the orders and just says, go do it, snap decision. And I really like Helmeppo really showing some character development in this chapter. He's usually a scaredy cat, but he's worried about like these cannonballs coming after Helmeppo and Koby, or Prince Gruss and Koby, and Helmeppo just turns around and hits it and tanks an explosion, which, I mean, obviously the Helmeppo that we met would never do that. Like when we met him in chapter 2, would never do that. And the character development for him is great. You can see it coming with Koby, but Helmeppo was not somebody you expected to be seeing next to Koby later in the series. So that's cool. And then the fight with Kuzan and Garp continues. Garp gets back up after being beaten down by Kuzan and the other pirates. And, he gets up and he goes right after Kuzan. And continues his fight. And then he goes after Pizarro, the main face on Pirate Island. Does a galaxy divide. It's crazy. It's big. And Garp is really trying to hold the other pirates back while Sword is doing their thing. And I think Koby understands that this is becoming concerning. Then we get back to another flashback where Helmeppo tells Garp that Koby has been training on the battleship bags, which is what we learned about last chapter about Aokiji. Hello. About Aokiji and Garp what they used to train when Garp was training Aokiji, and yeah, it's I mean it's just cool. It shows Koby has that dedication. We knew that, but we didn't know how far this really, you know, showcases his prowess. And the very next spread is so good. It's a 2-page spread with Koby just coming up, and he shows his Haki, which is exciting because I don't think up to this point we've seen Koby really use Haki, and possibly Conqueror's Haki, which I would not be surprised if Koby had Conqueror's Haki, but it is surprising to see it in this state. But he uses an Honesty Impact, which is namely Garp's move, on the hand, this giant mountain-sized hand, and just obliterates it. And everyone is just everyone is surprised he's been holding this back. And then Prince Groose catches. And then Prince Groose catches the debris, and the ship is good, and then Garp phones into Tashigi and says the rescue mission is complete for Koby, and everyone to leave. And which does not bode well. And then we get one of the most chilling, no pun intended, one of the most chilling panels in all of One Piece. And I mean, after Garp telling everybody that their safety is top priority to get out of there, he says that they're all the future of the Navy. And it's a panel of the Blackbeard pirates surrounding him, with Aokiji standing over him, using an ice move, or freezing, an ice move. He's using one of his freezing techniques, as there is already a giant spike just piercing through him. And I think I speak for everyone who has read this chapter and says that I think I speak for everybody who read this chapter to say that this is just sad. It's not I think coming into this fight, I figured that something like this would happen, that Garp was going to lose to Aokiji. I mean, Aokiji has been built up to be in the Blackbeard squad. And he's supposed to be, so strong. And he's going to be a nuisance for everybody opposing the Blackbeard squad. But, I mean, Garp he got beat, and he got beat bad, and it does not look promising for him. And then we talk about how the next day headlines talk about I'll just read this. The disappearance on Pyre Island of the legendary hero Vice Admiral Garp. And then it adds, and the incident in which Straw Hat Luffy, Emperor of the Sea, barricaded himself within Future Island Egghead. So 2 big headlines, and we have only seen one of them, which is the fight that Captain Koby has returned to the Marines, and that Garp is missing, which I think they're trying to presume that Garp is dead. Obviously, no one in One Piece is dead until you see the grave, and even then it can be questionable. Think Sabo, think Pell, people in One Piece they've survived more than this. People in One Piece have survived more than this, than what Garp just took. But, I mean, it's hard to... I mean, something through your chest is probably going to kill you. Something that large, especially from Aokiji. And we can talk about what exactly this means. So there's two things that can happen. First, if we presume that Garp is dead from this chapter, we can think, hey, I mean, Luffy is going to be devastated. That's all of his family except Sabo gone. It can lead to him maybe seeking out Dragon, which I don't think would happen. I think they will just meet naturally as the story progresses towards the final saga, or in the final saga. But, I mean, if Garp is dead, I can see Luffy at least a little bit blaming this someone on Koby. Maybe that leads to a fight between them. Because, I mean, we need to see a fight between Koby and Luffy. It has to happen. It's really... it's important that this happens because it'll be so fun. But also... more likely, I think Koby is going to learn a lesson here that Luffy learned with Ace. And that is just... it's heartbreaking, but it's true. If Garp is not dead, I mean, it's a possibility. We've seen in recent chapters with Saul that he's still alive after facing Aokiji. Aokiji has a long list of fighting other admirals, vice admirals, and not killing them in his fights. I mean, you know, this has happened multiple times, and most with Soul is the big one that he used Ice Age, and that, you know, he survived that, and I think that was purposeful. I mean, he could have just punched the frozen Soul and he would have been dead. However, it is interesting that, you know, Oda is giving us a little bit of, you know, mystery here when it comes to Garp, because Kuzan doesn't say a move. We don't hear what move he's using. It looks like Ice Age, but we really don't know. Ice Age would give it away, because that's... Ice Age would give it away, because that's the same move that he used on Soul. But here, I mean, it's just so sad. I was not happy with how Garp went out, but I mean, it was going to happen at some point. Just like, I mean, there's many characters with a death stamp on them that is going to come up. I mean, I'm thinking Shanks. I'm thinking, you know, these older figures that need to make way for the younger generation. The younger generation One Piece is that they've got death stamps on them, or if not, they're gonna step back. But yeah, I mean, this was an insane chapter. It's well worth having a break. Before and after this, the wait was good. You know, and I'm just excited to get back on Egghead and figure that out. I do think it's a good refresher to have these little events that are happening outside of Egghead, you know, come into play, and we be actually shown these things instead of, you know, just hearing about them. like we were with like I mean, there's so many things that just kind of happen off screen, you know. I am upset about, you know, there were for a while we had the law fight that was happening off screen, but we got the end of that with Blackbeard. So there's a lot of things that happen off screen, but we got a good amount of events that, you know, are very important to what's going on. We got that on screen or on the page. We didn't just hear about it, and I mean, Egghead can get a little confusing at times about what's going on. I've been, you know, it's been a harder read, as important and as cool and as interesting as Egghead Island is. It can get a little confusing, and I think this has been a good, you know, refresher for you know, the arc to have this in the middle of it, and I cannot wait to see this animated. So yeah, what are your thoughts about One Piece chapter 1088? I thought it was good. I would say the I would say my chapter MVP is Koby. As much as I want to give it to Garp, I mean, Koby just showed up, man. He showed up and he dished out, and he's sick. And yeah, I need more Koby content in One Piece, dude. Koby's great. And yeah, I mean, he's the MVP. What are your thoughts about chapter 1088 and One Piece going forward? And are you sad that there's a break next week? Because I am, because I just want to read more. I am, because I just want to read more. So yeah, go watch the Gear 5 episode when it comes out, and you know, go ahead and go ahead and watch the live action when it comes out if you want to. All right.